Hello and welcome to this online press conference by Close the Glass Loop, where we will be revealing the 2023 glass collection for recycling rate. In the EU, of course. As I will be mentioning, this is a big target, not for me specifically, but for a project. And this project is a value chain project. It's Close the Glass Loop. For those of you who may be less familiar with it, it brings together 14 European associations that are representing the value chain behind the collection and recycling of glass packaging. These 14 European associations represent each point in the chain, starting with municipalities. We have 3 associations representing municipalities: Eurocities, representing big cities; ACR Plus, representing local and regional authorities for waste management; and Municipal Waste Europe, representing public waste management companies. We also have the distributors, with HOTREC representing the hospitality sector. We estimate that around 20% of the potential to collect and recycle all glass packaging lies with the hospitality sector, so they're also a very important player. We have 6 product sectors representing segments of the market that sell products packed in glass. Fruit juice with AIJN, wines with CEV. We have spirits with Spirits Europe. We have Profel with processed fruits and vegetables, soft drinks with UNESTA, and waters with Natural Mineral Waters Europe. We have 2 organizations representing extended producer responsibility schemes, EXPRA and Prosper, and these are really key as linchpins in the whole value chain to make sure everything is working. And then on the other side of the value chain, on the waste management side, we have FEVE, the European Glass Recyclers Federation, and then we close the loop then with FEVE, the European Container Glass Manufacturing Association, representing glass manufacturing plants in Europe. And from the beginning of the project, we also worked on the local and national level. We knew that that's where the magic really happens. And so we also work with 13 national platforms who are representing organizations that are really active on local level on glass collection and recycling. And it's the combination of these 2 parts of our project that ensures that we are all together trying to aim for this target of 90% glass collection for recycling in the EU by 2030. Now, I know that the content piece every year when we publish the glass collection for recycling figures is one of our most sought after content pieces, but the reality is that behind that, there is a lot of work being done on the European and national level to make it happen. And I think it's an opportunity also to say a big thank you to all our partners who are active in this field and trying to connect citizens and hospitality business to the glass packaging value chain in order to make sure that the material, glass, which is endlessly recyclable, is actually endlessly recycled. And to do that, we need proper waste management infrastructure. And so that is happening thanks to our partners. Also, if you are representing a sector or a country that is not somehow represented in this slide, reach out to us, because we are also, open to new partners joining on national and European level as well. We launched this project on the 30th of June 2020. So actually today is also our 5-year anniversary. So happy birthday to Close the Glass Loop. And let's hope that we can continue pushing forwards in the future. For this event, we have more than 120 registrations coming from 24 different countries. So I know that you're all excited to hear more about our latest figures. And we also have, the full value chain represented as usual in our events. Maybe a specific highlight today are our representatives from the media. So we will be offering the possibility to journalists to raise questions to our speakers today. And if I may just give you a quick sense of the program. So we will start with a presentation of the glass collection for recycling rates and a few elements around Close the Glass Loop. Then we will open to statements from our 4 speakers representing FEVE, Ferver, Spirits Europe, and Austria Glass Recycling. We will then open up for questions to journalists, and obviously if you want to raise anything as well, I'll be keeping an eye on the chat and the Q&A to make sure that you also get your questions in. And we're also live streaming this press conference on YouTube. So also welcome to all of those who are viewing this event on our YouTube channel. So That having been said, I think we can go straight into the content piece you're all looking to hear about. And I would like then to invite Vanessa Chesnot. She is Head of Public Affairs and Product Policy at FEVE, the European Container Glass Federation, and she will be taking us through the rate and the activities behind the rate. So Vanessa, over to you.
Thank you very much, Jean-Paul, and good afternoon to everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here for our traditional June announcement of the latest collection for recycling rate for glass packaging. So when we launched Close the Glass Loop, as Jean-Paul mentioned, exactly 5 years ago, we were at 76% collection for recycling. So the question is, where do we stand now? In the past months, Close the Glass Loop has gathered the latest statistics in European countries for the reference year 2023. There is always a 2-year delay in waste statistics. So without further ado, I'm happy to share that in 2023, our new figures show that the EU average collection for recycling rate for glass packaging was 80.8%, an increase compared to the previous year, where we were at 80.2%. Just to note that we have indicated on the map the data for non-EU countries, but they are not factored in the 80.8% average. So maybe just a few remarks on those figures. First of all, in terms of the methodology, what is important to keep in mind is that the actual collection rate may even be higher than what we released today, because what we've seen is that tracking is becoming increasingly difficult as member states are legally required to report on effective recycling and no longer on collection for recycling. That means that in quite a few instances, the national rate that you can see on the map reflects a real recycling rate rather than a collection for a recycling rate. So that's for the methodology, but more importantly, in terms of trend, there are quite positive elements. The first one being that over 12 million tons of glass packaging were collected for recycling for the second consecutive year. And that indicates a strong collection infrastructure and public participation. So that's very good news, but we can also see some very positive signals on the national level. So for instance, Portugal and Greece, both historically lower performing, recorded significant improvements in the total volumes collected, with plus 12.6% and plus 11.1% respectively, outpacing the volumes that they placed on the market. So collection grew faster than the placing on the market. In Spain, the collected volumes increased by 7%, raising its collection for recycling rate from 69.9% in 2022 to 75.9% in 2023. And that's great news because that's the fourth largest market for glass packaging in the EU, meaning that it's a lot of tons at stake in Spain. Similarly, in Italy, which represents close to 18% of the total market for glass packaging in the EU, the country exceeded the 90% glass collection for recycling target for the first time. So that's very good news to have a new country in the club of the 90% collection rate. And then France, which is the second largest market for glass, also improved its performance, growing from 82% in 2022 to 83.7% in 2023. So you can see the recap of this map, but if you want to dig into the statistics, you can find all the figures country by country, as well as their evolution year on year on the Close the Glass Loop website. So this performance and this new rate reflects well-established practices in favor of glass packaging separate collection for households, but also for hospitality operators, as well as a strong network of operators that ensure that glass that is collected is effectively recycled and brought back into one of our glass packaging manufacturing plants. You can see on this infographic, that's a new infographic, that we've prepared to represent the main collection systems that are used for glass packaging across Europe. And this infographic will be released today, so you can have a closer look. And you can see on this infographic the countries that rely primarily on door-to-door, bottle bank, or DRS systems, and whether they color sort glass packaging at source. So either they put all colors together, or they separate into 2 streams, or even 3 color streams in some countries. So you can have a look. So we, as Close the Glass Loop, we focus on collection because that's really the key to ensure sufficient availability and quality of secondary raw materials that then can be effectively recycled. However, we are also keeping track of the Eurostat data, which focus on real recycling. And according to this data, the recycling rate reached 75.6% on average in the EU 27 in 2022. So what we can see here is that, well, similar to glass collection, efforts are still needed in a number of countries to reach the EU target of 75% by 2030. And what's important is that glass packaging is not only collected, it's not only recycled, it's also mostly recycled back into glass containers, so into the closed loop. And our latest performance report estimates that as much as 85% of glass collected is recycled back into packaging. So that gives glass packaging a unique role in Europe's circular economy. I take the opportunity of this event to invite you to have a look at this very rich and comprehensive performance report that will give you insights on the input, the output of glass packaging waste across regions and across countries. So it's available as well on the Close the Glass Loop website. While the progress is encouraging, 80.8%, it's clear that further efforts and investment are needed to bring the necessary step change towards achieving the targets of 90% glass collection for recycling by 2030, because we are still losing about 90% of glass packaging that's placed on the market, and that's lost for recycling and for closed-loop recycling. So we must not forget that every additional ton collected counts. It's a valuable resource that helps close the loop and deliver environment and climate benefits. So to ramp up the efforts, the Close the Glass Loop community recently gathered in Madrid for 2 days of open exchanges, practical ideas, and collaboration with one objective, which is to make glass collection and recycling work better everywhere in Europe. So this workshop was co-hosted by Ecovidrio, our Spanish EPR scheme dedicated to glass packaging. So from closed loop systems to citizen communications, we had the opportunity to roll up our sleeves to co-develop actionable ideas that are tailored to the local and the national challenges. Also, we heard case studies from across Europe, which showed how much we can learn from one another when it's about digital tools, scaling local successes, or introducing new systems. So as Jean-Paul mentioned before, that reminds us that real change happens at the local level. And if we want to achieve our Close the Glass Loop goals, continuous improvement on the ground is essential. So this workshop in Madrid shows the strong commitment of our community of Close the Glass Loop to focus on providing support for the development of national action plans the emergence of new platforms, as well as to offer more opportunities for exchange of best practices between national platforms. So as Jean-Paul mentioned, we have today 13 national platforms, but the objective is to grow that further. That's why we will have in the next few years a strong focus on the national level, and we will be focusing on different categories of countries, let's say. First, the countries that are lagging behind, so the countries that are below 55% recycling target. That's the case of Cyprus or Greece. Second, countries that need to boost their recycling target to achieve the legal obligation of reaching a 75% recycling rate. That's the case of Poland or Romania. And then the largest market for glass packaging, France, Italy, Germany, which will need to continue investing and supporting glass collection, even if in those countries the national collection rate is already quite high. So there will be quite a lot to do in the years to come on the European level, and more importantly on the national level. So on that note, I would like to thank you very much for your attention, and I'm available if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. And maybe actually, so there is a question, and I think it might be useful to clarify a little bit the differences between what we would want to see as a collection for recycling rate and what Eurostat is requiring to report in terms of a real effective recycling rate. And just to explain maybe the two ideal measurement points that we have, right, on collection for recycling, and where would be the measurement point for Eurostat on effective recycling? Could you maybe just clarify the difference there?
Yeah, sure. So that's an important difference. So when we refer to collection rate, that's basically what we collect, for example, in bottle banks. So that's the glass packaging, and that can include, or that should include, the glass container, so the bottle, but also the cap, for example, plus a number of contaminants. So things that should not be in the bottle bank, but that the consumers are putting there. So that's the collection rate, and that will be then sorted by cullet treatment plants to get rid of contaminants, to sort glass by color, and to produce what we call cullets, so recycled glass that can then be reintegrated back into production. So that's, and the recycling rate is the output of the cullet treatment plant. So really the cullet once the contaminants have been removed. So that's why there is a difference between collection, which is normally higher than recycling, because you get rid of the contaminants to really keep the glass, the cullet.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much. And Vanessa, you will also be then available if also journalists have any specific questions more on Close the Glass Loop. You will also be able to respond to those. So thanks a lot, Vanessa. What we propose now is also to hear some short statements. We wanted to have some European and national partners represented to give a view also on the direction, the ambition, some of the big actions that they're working on to improve glass collection and recycling. So I'm happy then to introduce our four speakers today. We have Carlo Pirrone. He is the Secretary General of FEVE. We have Olivier de Weert. He is the Secretary General of FEVE. We have Monica Pieber. She is Public Relations Manager at Austria Glass Recycling. And Sarah Melina Siebel. She is Director for Internal Market and Sustainability at Spirits Europe. So welcome to the four of you, and thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
So I propose then we start with Carlo. Give us a sense, of the ambition that you have as FEVE for Close the Glass Loop. Please, over to you, Carlo.
Thank you, Jean-Paul. Thank you very much. And hi, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here today and to join you on behalf of FEVE, the European Container Glass Federation, which represents more than 160 manufacturing plants of glass packaging across Europe. It's really great to hear that the rate of collection for recycling is increasing again from 80.2 to 80.8%. Much remains to be done, and as we know, the last mile is always the toughest. So for the next years, I think we need to, all together boost our efforts and do all we can to reach the 90% ambition. But 80.8 that we have achieved is not just a number. It's a reflection already of the hard work happening on the ground. So first of all, I'd like to congratulate everyone here, Jean-Paul, you, your team, Vanessa, but also all colleagues of associations here present today and all the national platforms, because effectively this is a value chain work, and value chain means, from producers to recyclers to brands, consumers, but also European, national level, municipalities. So really it's the whole value chain. But that's also a number which is important for us because it's a reflection of our climate ambition. Because for our industry, circularity, it's a direct enabler of decarbonization. Glass is infinitely recyclable. Every time we collect and recycle glass packaging, we reduce our carbon footprint. As you might know, around 20% of CO2 emissions from glass production come from process emissions. So when the materials are melted at high temperature, they produce some emissions. And these emissions can be significantly reduced by increasing the share of recycled glass, which does not emit CO2 during melting. In concrete terms, each ton of recycled glass replaces 1.2 tons of virgin raw materials. So a 10% increase in cullet use reduces CO2 emissions by 5% and furnace energy consumption by 2.5%. Now, in the situation we are now, the geopolitical situation we are now, I think we're all required to do the utmost to reduce energy consumption and improve energy efficiency. I think, one of the key messages for us is there's a direct link between recycled content, increasing in recycled content and energy consumption. The average recycled content of glass containers in Europe today stands at over 50%. So that makes glass really the champion of circularity. And this is a direct result of high collection and closed loop recycling, and a major factor in reducing emissions and waste. That's why closed glass loop is essential for us, with the 90% collection for recycling objective, and it's a strategic project. We need to go further, of course, and the drivers to go further are, I would say, mainly two. One is to improve the waste management infrastructure and collection system, as was explained. Two would be to also have effective consumer communication, because consumers are really the actors of this project. So one key priority for us is to ensure that these next generation furnaces that the industry is implementing can operate without high level of cullet, because circularity and decarbonization go hand in hand. And I mean, that's it basically, Jean-Paul. So glass embodies circular principles. So with high collection and recycling rate, regional sourcing, and a deeply rooted and robust industrial ecosystem, I think we need to further exploit our potential and make this 90% come alive in the coming years. Thank you very much.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks a lot, Carlo. And it's true that yes, there is this increase, from 80.2 to 80.8. But as we move on, I do fear that every percentage point just gets harder and harder. I think that's also a reality we have to face. But yes, we have to work on that together, and we'll do our best. Olivier, over to you then for your short statement, please.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you also from my side for being here today for this important update from the Close the Glass Loop initiative. I'm speaking to you today on behalf of the European Federation of Glass Recyclers, representing, would say, the companies on the field, those who really turn your packaging waste glass into clean furnace-ready cullet that then can be endlessly reintroduced into the production cycle. Our role in this circular chain is essential, but of course it all starts with how much glass we can actually collect, and this is what it is all about today. The 2023 figures that we have unveiled today show, in my opinion, positive momentum. It shows that we are moving in the right direction, but indeed, as it was already pointed out, that also there is still untapped potential to collect more glass and supply the glass manufacturing industry. Achieving the recycling targets is a minimum, but every additional ton that we can collect is a valuable resource that will help us indeed close the loop. And I really would like to point out that this is not just about ticking boxes to meet obligations. It's really about shifting the system, I would say, toward greater efficiency, sustainability, and resilience. And as it was explained by Carlo Pirrone a few minutes ago, every ton of glass collected means fewer raw materials extracted, means also less energy used in furnaces, and means fewer emissions released into the atmosphere. So to unlock that untapped potential, I think we need to further prioritize single material collection wherever feasible. We also need to continue investment indeed in consumer communication, in waste management infrastructure, while at the same time our membership continues investing in recycling technologies to maintain this momentum. I also think design for recycling of the packaging itself remains important, and this in order to maximize the output from our glass recycling plants. One last thing, education too, I think remains really critical. When people understand the value of glass recycling and the role they can themselves play in it, we see that the participation goes up, and it's really something we have seen time and time again across Europe. It really starts, I would say, at school. Children learning at school about glass recycling are the best guarantee for the future and also for the present, because they often incentivize their parents to do correct pre-sorting, telling them that they should put the glass jars in the glass waste receptacle, and for instance not in the residual waste. So I think we can celebrate today's progress, but indeed there is still some work ahead. It will not happen. So reaching the 90% collection for recycling rate will not happen by accident, that is for sure. There's still a lot of work to do, but it can happen if we all of us in the loop commit really to push further, to push faster, and to push smarter. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Olivier. So we heard of the link between providing secondary raw materials to an industry that is then producing, in this case, glass packaging, new glass bottles, and that is obviously serving markets in the end. And so, Sarah Molina from Spirits Europe, can you also say a few words about how Close the Glass Loop is part of your strategy in terms of market access and increasing potentially recycled content of bottles? Over to you, Sarah.
Hi, thanks a lot. Congratulations, first of all, to the new release of the recycling figures. We very much appreciate, of course, all the efforts that go into each percentage point that you increase your great work. So congratulations from Spirits Europe to that achievement again. As Jean-Paul said, I'm speaking today on behalf of Spirits Europe. We are representing the European spirits producers, large and small, across the continent. Our members are deeply committed to building a responsible, sustainable and competitive industry, and one that aligns with the European Green Deal and circular economy. So with that, we have been long-standing partners of FEVE. Also, I think we were one of the first founding members of the Close the Glass Loop initiative, because we really believe that increasing recycling, increasing the collection for recycling is the way to go for the future. Our members rely very heavily on glass packaging. I think we use more than 90% on average of glass for our products. That is not only because we think it's the prettiest product, that is around, we also are convinced of the fact that glass communicates the premium aspect of our product more than any other packaging material around. And of course, we are completely convinced about the environmental benefits due to its infinite recyclability. In 2024 and in 2025, Spirits Europe members have actively supported national platforms, including the launch of the Romanian platform a year ago, and new initiatives in Spain and in the Netherlands, also with a focus on the HoReCa collection. Colored quality and stakeholder awareness, which we have heard today already, is essential if we want to increase the numbers presented today. To that end, we mobilize our networks, and national associations play a huge part to strengthen these efforts locally. When we look at our own sustainability performance, which, as I said, is closely linked to that of the glass bottles we are using, we have improved bottle recyclability by reducing decorative elements and switching to lighter glass in the last years, and that without compromising quality. This improves compatibility with sorting systems and with lower carbon emissions. As I said, in addition, we are making a huge effort in raising awareness, so our members are running campaigns on national level, and there's a lot of cooperation going on with bars, restaurants, and retailers to ensure that glass is properly collected and sorted. Also, I think it is especially in Spain that our members are cooperating with platforms like Ecovidrio to ensure bottles are truly part of a closed loop system to also again increase recycling rates. So I think what all of that shows is that to us every bottle counts. Glass is a packaging of choice for spirit drinks producers in Europe, small and large alike. And we're really happy to drive progress towards a truly circular economy through design, action, and partnership with FEVE. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for those words. And that really tells you something of the commitment on European level from European partners representing the value chain. But as we've mentioned, there's also, at the end of the day, the magic happening on national level. And so Monica is here representing Austria Glass Recycling, so an organization in Austria, and to some extent is also a spokesperson then for the importance of the national level in these operations for glass collection and recycling. So please, over to you, Monica.
Thank you, Jean-Paul. From the European perspective to the perspective of a small country. So thank you very much for the opportunity to take part in this press conference. In Austria, we have operating a collecting and recycling system for glass packaging since almost 50 years. So in 2027, we celebrate our 50th anniversary. Since many years, the glass collection for recycling rate exceeds the 80% clearly. People in Austria are used to collect glass packaging. They know about the advantages of glass recycling, and they know how to collect glass recycling. That's, of course, thanks to our steady work, but also to the work of our partner companies and the municipalities. We very much welcome the Close the Glass Loop initiative. International initiatives like Close the Glass Loop power the circular economy. From our experience as a small country, what contributes to a sustainable glass recycling system? I want to point out 6 factors. First, a reliable financial modality, for instance, extended producer responsibility modalities or systems. Second, the daily cooperation of many players, to name but a few, the glass industry, logistics sector, municipalities, and of course, the EPR systems. Third, a well-documented data flow to continuously improve the efficiency and the impact of the system. Fourth, that citizens are aware of the importance of glass recycling for clean cities, for a healthy environment, and for the national economy. Fifth, that all citizens remain motivated to collect their glass packaging carefully. And last but not least, a level playing field for the EPR systems in the countries. So we all know, we heard it several times today, glass can be recycled an infinite number of times. And we all who work for the glass recycling have the wonderful task to continuously improve step by step. It's sometimes incrementally, it's sometimes very, very innovative, to improve the system and motivate people to contribute to glass recycling. And in that sense, all the best for the Close the Glass Loop initiative. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Monica, for those kind words. I think that you all lay out some of the angles that we need to have in place in order to make this project work. I now turn also to the journalists who are with us. So please let me know if you would like to raise a question to any of our speakers, Vanessa included. Just raise your hand, and I will be watching on this side. Maybe actually we do have a question. So could I then invite Marie-Thérèse to join us? Marie-Thérèse Hengst from the Uitgewerig Noordhoek. I hope I say that correctly. And if you can join us, please.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, my video is gonna see me, but yes, I wanted to know if what the impact will be of the new plans of the European Union with the Clean Industrial Deal and the Omnibus package. Do they have any consequences for the achievement of all the recycling targets?
Okay, so the connections between the policy direction set out by the European Commission and the Clean Industrial Deal, potentially also the plans for the Circular Economy Act next year that was announced by the Clean Industrial Deal as well. Who would like to take that? Maybe Carlo, would you like to take that? Maybe also Sarah potentially.
Yeah.
Carlo first.
Sure, I can say a few words. No, I think it's a very relevant question and a very timely. How should I say? I mean, really something we are discussing these days. So the Clean Industrial Deal is not something that the glass industry has welcomed, let's say, in entirety, simply because it was not focused on the glass industry. So glass industry was not directly mentioned in the Clean Industrial Deal, if you want. But as an energy-intensive industry, we are part of all the measures that stem from it. And I think we have a lot to benefit from it in general. So there's a couple of elements that I would mention. So certainly all initiatives aimed at increasing energy efficiency. So this is something that I think it's extremely important. So there's a lot of emphasis right now on improving the infrastructure for energy, let's say connections around Europe, and I think this is for us it's key, because one of the key goals of the industry is to decarbonize in a short period of time. In order for us to be able to do that, even with the technology that is available and it's very advanced, I think we need also help and support from let's say public authorities in terms of the infrastructures. So I think the energy side is being given attention, and I think we are very grateful to European institutions for that. Concrete measures are being implemented and are being proposed as we speak in terms of opening up a possibility for member states to give aids in terms of energy relief, electricity relief to companies, but it's very recent and we'll see how it's been implemented in the different countries. But the second lever, as you mentioned, Jean-Paul, is circular economy. So what we see changing in this commission is a new emphasis to competitive circular economy. There's a legislative measure which is being now discussed and will be proposed at the end of the Circular Economy Act. I think the whole industry should be very attentive to what is being proposed. I'm not sure, again, glass will be the focus of the attention, because I think the institutions will want to look at market failures. And the glass industry simply is an industry that is working well. But I think our role there is to make sure that we are rewarded and we are given a premium for circularity. How to do that, how to make sure this is implemented in new law, it's not entirely clear. We're still reflecting on it. But this idea that we are champions of circularity and we need to be given a premium for that, I think it's an idea we all need to collectively promote to make the Circular Economy Act a success.
Okay, thanks, Carlo. Thanks, Marie-Thérèse, also for the question. I also have a question then from Maria Luisa Doldi from Rivista Imbottigliamento. I hope I say that correctly.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. Imbottigliamento from Italy. Do you hear me? Yes. Okay,
Yes.
my question is if the use of recycled glass also affects also energy consumption in the production steps. If so, for example, if I use more recycled glass, may I use less energy or there is no influence on that?
Okay, maybe to give Carlo a breather, would Monica maybe like to say a word on that first?
Maybe also Oliver, he mentioned it in his words. He mentioned
but I can also say maybe. Yeah,
okay, go for it.
I'll just restate maybe. No, Jean-Paul, I'll just restate what I stated at the beginning, and then of course, if colleagues want, they're more than welcome. So the reply is absolutely yes. The use of recycled content lowers CO2 emissions and lowers energy consumption. So the two are linked. So the figures that we have show that each 10% increase in cullet use leads to a 2.5 reduction in furnace energy consumption and 5% in CO2. So yes, using more recycled content lowers energy and CO2 emissions.
Because the temperatures are lower or something like that, I guess.
Yes.
Yes, for melting the raw materials, you need lower temperatures. Yes.
Lower temperatures.
Let's say recycled raw materials rather than virgin raw materials. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Olivier, would you like to complement that, or Monica?
Well, it's what. Yes, I underline that. That's the point.
Okay, brilliant. So please, if you still have questions, please put them to me. One question also maybe for you on my side is, but for each of your sectors, I mean, I'm thinking maybe for Sarah in particular, and then also maybe for Olivier. What do you see as let's say, the biggest challenge that you face in having an impact, right? Like in what you can control. So if I take Sarah's sector, like Spirits Europe, like for a spirits company, right? What is the biggest challenge for you to actually have a direct impact on, increasing glass collection and recycling? Because obviously you're not managing waste management infrastructure. Okay, so how are you able to still influence the increase in glass collection for recycling?
Thanks, Jean-Paul. Happy to answer. For us, the key really is in the cooperation with the HoReCa sector. I think household collection is well covered by the initiatives that are ongoing. But where we do see some untapped potential is really in the cooperation with hotels, restaurants, bars, especially pop-up bars, summer bars now. There really we see the need to see what more we can do to make sure that all the glass bottles that our members supply to those summer bars, for instance, are collected in the best possible way. And I know that some of those summer bar owners take it very seriously, and they themselves carry the bottles afterwards to a bottle bank. And I think such systems can be improved because we cannot necessarily rely on the fact that a bar owner feels so committed to environmental sustainability that after a long day at running a bar, they take care of the disposal of the glass bottles. So I think there is a lot of potential of things we can improve.
Yeah, and that also helps us to understand that there is a business-to-business dimension. It's not just business to consumer, but you can have a direct impact with HoReCa businesses, given that you're supplying them with products. And maybe also to Olivier, because obviously you mentioned the investments in waste management, in recycling technology. But on the other hand, you're not necessarily responsible for collection of that material. So how can you somehow influence the amount of material that's coming your way, and maybe also the quality of that material to ensure that it is sort of mostly glass? What are some of the means that you have at your disposal to influence that?
I think that's actually the biggest challenge for the membership. Exactly, is what comes in. It's the input. The input is not only important, I would say, for the output, but also for the way you set your machines. So you want to have an input which is as stable as possible, so that you don't have big changes in the quality of the input. So you can have something like quality control, but yeah, not easy. I think it comes back to what I pointed out in the beginning. It's about education, and it's about having a separate collection, a single material collection wherever that is feasible, because the impact of single material collection is so important on the quality of the output. If you have a mix where you have a lot of plastics and a lot of other contaminations, then you will have to run more. I would say, first of all, you will have to change your machines, the settings of your machines. So you will have more rejection to get to the same type of quality at the level of the output on the one hand, and that means that you will have more losses at your output, or that you will spend much more energy because you will have to do more reruns, as we call it, on your treatment plant. So I think, as I said, communication, education, and the contacts with the value chain earlier up in the chain are extremely important for our recyclers.
Yep, brilliant. Thank you, Olivier, and maybe also for Monica, because you talked about extended producer responsibility, and this is obviously the key linchpin, right, in this whole governance of a value chain in the circular economy. How do you manage sort of short-term and long-term investment? So short-term, maybe more specific to, I don't know, optimizing collection systems or infrastructure or collection routes. Long-term being maybe more the communication to consumers, right? That's been mentioned several times, but that obviously takes time and investment, like financially.
Yes.
And then we're also seeing extended producer responsibility schemes becoming, operating in a more and more competitive environment where there are other extended producer responsibility schemes. And, I'm thinking, how do you manage the long-term versus short-term in terms of investment and defending that to your shareholders, the importance of maintaining long-term investments? Is this difficult today?
Yes, that is. It is difficult. It gets more difficult now because of the economic situation. So there is a lot talking about the circular economy, but it's not the much investment in the circular economy if you can't point out the profit all participants can have. So it's really difficult. It is, I think it's not only about the communication and education. Nevertheless, we invest a lot of time and also a lot of money in communication and education. But for the collection of recycling rate, it's also an angle to think about design for recycling. So maybe not to use full sleeves for glass packaging, and not to link too many substances to one bottle, because these are not problems in the glass plants and sorting machines, but you lose cullets. Vanessa told us in her statement, and there is also maybe something to do for people who design the glass packaging for marketing and for the brands, to think about elements. Do we need it, or are they a problem in the recycling? So we as Austria Glass Recycling try to be in a wide stakeholder connection, also with the EPR partners, to make clear that they have also an impact, not only by paying, but also by thinking about the design of their brand, their packagings for their brands.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Monica. I think we also have a question from David Moore, Society of Glass Technology. David, if you would like to turn on your camera and microphone, we should be able to bring you on.
Hello from the UK. It's just a question as we approach 90% on our colours, the greens that we need to keep green and specific green across the green spectrum, and there's ambers as well. Is there how are we going to deal with that?
So how are we going to deal with getting to 90% and still doing something with the material? Is that your question?
Yeah. It's sort of, is there always going to be just this smeared out average green that we're going to be having rather than the dead leaf green and the more vibrant greens? Just how do we control our oxidations and stuff and the redox and the problems with the glass chemistry?
Okay, so that's a much more sort of let's say technical question. So we're really in the furnace here, and it's the wide array of possible colors that we have or not, while still optimizing collection and recycling. Not sure who wants to take that one. Olivier, maybe you have a comment on that, potentially.
I would say it's more related to the furnace and to the production process, and it's really related to the recycling part. I know that sometimes there are differences in availability of what we call then the green color and the amber color, and on the other hand the flint, what we call the white. Well, it's not actually white glass, but the glass you can see through. We call that flint. But this situation is often depending from country to country. So that's the only comment I can give from a recycler's perspective.
Maybe I don't know if I can potentially bring Vanessa back on, just for a comment maybe, because obviously we need to then link this to close the glass loop objective, as David is saying, right? So let's imagine we're achieving a 90%. Can we achieve that while keeping a very, very wide array of different types of colors, or will there naturally be a sort of a more harmonized or restricted set of colors accessing the market to allow for the incorporation of more recycled content? I think that's the spirit of David's question.
Yeah, well, so for close the glass loop, as you will see in the new infographic, depending on the countries, there is more or less color sorting at source. So that can help in some countries like Germany. They have the separation green, amber, flint. In France, they collect all glass colors together, or in Belgium there is a dual stream. So that can be an answer. I think Olivier can tell us about innovations in the glass recycling, in the glass cullet recycling facilities to better sort glass waste into specific colors. And on the for glass manufacturers, I think there are some projects between specific brands and glass manufacturers to alter the color to increase the uptake of recycled content. So as Olivier was mentioning, moving from extra flint to flint. For the consumer, maybe the end consumer, maybe there won't be such a big difference, but in terms of integration of recycled content, that can make a difference. Or for green, indeed, by altering the shade of the green, that can also help. I don't know about harmonization of color shades. That's maybe something to be discussed down the line. But for sure, I think there is some awareness on this color constraints. Let's say.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Thanks, Vanessa. Thanks, David, as well for the question. Maybe a last one coming from the chat, and as Vanessa's still here, you might want to comment on that as well. Olivier, Monica, please feel free. Are there any municipal level glass recycling practices that can easily be scaled on a European level, or is there sort of naturally a very kind of local reality, and therefore the work of Close the Glass Loop is more just to exchange what's out there, but not so much to scale up a solution that works? Who would like to take that one?
Well, I take it for a short, maybe a little bit funny answer. In Austria, it's not the biggest country in the European Union, but I have a lot in my career here in the glass recycling company. I had so many discussions with people from municipalities, from local authorities, and they always tell me, here in this town, in this federal state, it's different than in the neighbor town and in the neighbor federal state. So they all think it's very local to communicate about the glass recycling, not about the glass recycling, but about waste collection, waste management overall. So maybe they would say that's not possible to have it scaled up to the European level.
Yep.
Well, but besides the little jokey answer, I think it's really special because there are different technologies, there are different processes. For instance, in Austria, we deliver the cullets directly to the plants. There is mostly directly. There is no plant in between that makes the sorting. The sorting is mostly done in the plant. So there are really different aspects in the waste management, in the glass recycling management.
Okay, brilliant. Olivier, Vanessa, would you like to comment maybe on like Close the Glass Loop's approach, like scaling up versus a more sort of simple exchange of best practice, let's say?
I think it's good to exchange on the best practices for sure. I think it's very important because you will have different ideas and different initiatives in different municipalities, but I think it's also important to tailor a little bit your system to I would say, the actual region where you are situated. If you are a region with a lot of tourists coming over the year, you might have special initiatives to push the tourists also to put I would say, their packaging in the correct bin, because people come from all over Europe and they might have other systems and are not used to it. So scale up is not always, I would say, easy, but exchange on what you're doing, I think, is very valuable, and that's exactly why we have this platform here set up, and why we also, as glass recyclers, are supporting Closed Glass Loop, because this exchange learns us a lot. I mean, if you are on an island, or whether you are in southern Italy, or whether you are in, I don't know, in Sweden, it's completely different. Your system might have other requirements. If you are in urban areas, your collection system, you will go for underground containers, not for just containers which are put, I would say, on the normal next to the roads. That will have an impact on your fines. So because the glass will break more, etc. So you really need to have a look at your specific situation, and then you can exchange ideas, because of course everybody has his ideas, and I have seen a lot of good ideas in the last years circulating on this platform. Jean-Paul.
Okay,
and I would like to add.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. I would like to add that it's very important to have the international perspective and also awareness, and that backs the local and national awareness.
Thanks. Yes, maybe a last word also from Vanessa on this approach, like scaling up versus exchange.
Well, I think that's the main challenge that we have as Close the Glass Loop, this tension between harmonization and tailoring solutions to the national level or local level even. I think it would be super easy if there was a one-size-fits-all solution, but that's not what Europe or anything is about. It has to be tailored to the culture, to the social demographic conditions, etc. So that's the challenge that we face. And so as Close the Glass Loop, as Olivier mentioned, our objective is really to provide a platform to share best practices. So to have some big categories, so touristic area, densely populated area, or not so densely populated areas, so that municipalities or countries facing the same kind of situations can share and learn from each other and get inspiration from. So I think that's the main objective of Close the Glass Loop, because then having something that applies the same way everywhere is not feasible. But sometimes we want to be a bit beyond that and provide the tools that can make everybody's work easier. So we are discussing Close the Glass Loop, a tool for municipalities to understand where are their weak points in terms of coverage for infrastructure, in terms of the frequency of the collection, etc. So maybe with the use of digital tools, we could have a tool for municipalities that would help them. So we are beyond exchange of best practices, but that could be something that is useful to thousands of municipalities across Europe. Whether we will manage, we'll see, but at least we have the ambition.
The ambition is there. Well, thank you so much, Sarah, Carlo, Olivier, Monica, and Vanessa for having shared your insights. We touched upon already lots of the main challenges, actually, that we're facing on glass collection and recycling. Thanks as well to the journalists, Marie-Thérèse, Maria Luisa, David, for raising your questions. And yeah, thanks to you for having joined. I hope you feel encouraged and inspired by our 2023 results. Bear in mind that we did have an intermediary target in 2025 to go beyond 80%. So that was already reached in 2023, already actually in 2022. But, you know, as you can see, every percentage increase will get harder. We're going to need your support. So thank you so much. Stay with us, stay connected, whether it's on our LinkedIn page or our YouTube channel. And as I mentioned at the beginning, if you would like to get involved in our activities, if you're missing in Close the Glass Loop, then we would warmly welcome you to our group. We're a very open group and we work in a very seamless manner. We exchange a lot of information. So I hope to say that in addition to being interesting, it's also relatively exciting to work with us. So come on board, join us on this project, and let's achieve 90% glass collection for recycling in the EU by 2030. Have a great summer and see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.